Off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, and more. I am Dr. Marissa, your host, producer of this show that is almost 9 years old. Thank you so much for continuing to stay and be positively opinionated. Now, y'all know that I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And so I have topics and guests to that end. And today is no exception. I have a special Dr. Nick who's going to come and help us understand how things affect disease and good health. Before we go to break and bring him back on, you know how I like to start my shows with taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich. So are you ready for your 8 specific gratitudes on things that you appreciate that will keep you in the most positive way for the rest of the day? And I get to start. So remember, look at the people next to you, or if you want, you can write them down and message me later. And I picked some to read. So I will start with ones that I got yesterday. I am grateful for a hot shower. One, I'm grateful for, this is mine, my amazing comforter and bed, and the fact that I have a bed and a roof over my head. That's 2. 3, I am grateful for being a guest on a different show where I got to talk as much as I wanted to. 3, that's 4, I'm grateful for my younger daughter graduating from UC Davis in a couple of weeks. Number 5, I'm grateful that I get to bring you this show even though I'm in Canada right now visiting my mom. She has Parkinson's. 6, I'm grateful that that there's air conditioning and heating to keep us comfortable wherever we are in this land that we call America. Very grateful that we get to live with comforts. That's 7. And finally, I am grateful for, all of the support from all of you who continue to want to be happy and claim your birthright to happiness. All right, so there's your 8 gratitudes. And then don't forget tonight, before you go to bed, the bottom of the bun is 8 things that you appreciate about yourself. So I'm just going to do 3 because I want to bring on my guest after the break. But the 3 things that I know that I am 88% of the time, 1 is resilient, 2 is creative, and 3 is funny. There you go. Yes, you all remember the best thing about my divorce is that my husband used to tell me I was not funny every day. So I now get to own my fun. Yes? Yes. Now, don't forget, if you want the happy tip sheet, go to drmarissa.life and there's a free orientation that's coming up, as well as I've started teaching on the beach again. Balanced Tai Chi Gong, Tai Chi Qigong, and a little bit of happiness coaching at the same time. So plenty of ways to interact with me. Doc Balance on Instagram, Dr. Marissa everywhere else, and even on TikTok, but don't tell my daughters. All right, so when we come back, I have that special guest for you, And don't go away and keep it here on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Want to find happiness? Well, it's looking for you. 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are by Dr. Marissa Pei is a self-help book on steroids with practical concepts and exercise that will help you find the love you've been looking for inside yourself. It's a cross between I'm okay and you're still okay. And if you do the exercises, you will never hate yourself the same way again. For an autographed copy of this #1 bestseller, go to www.drmarissa.life or just order at Target, Walmart, and Amazon today. You can choose happiness because pain in life is mandatory, but suffering is optional.
Well, she has been dubbed the Asian Oprah, and she just wants all of us to be happy.
Dr. Marissa, aka the Asian Oprah, says the most important thing you can choose is choosing to be happy.
You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa.
That's the idea for Dr. Marissa Pei's new book called 8 Ways to Be Happy.
Many of us say, I am my own worst critic. Nobody's harder on me than I am. And my response to that is, stop it! Why are you doing that to yourself? You have to be your biggest fan, because if you can't at the end of the day say, I did a good job, who is? We don't have to constantly be angry at the things that are wrong. Why don't we choose to be happy about things that are right? We have the choice. That's our muscle. And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, including my YouTube channel, where you can get all past 670, I think we're on 680 shows, as well as my red carpet playlist with interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, and a whole myriad of interesting, fabulous people, and especially those who take their limelight and shine it on areas of temporary darkness so we can all get into the light. And as promised, I have a special guest today who is a doctor who's going to come on and talk to us about how we can participate and work on eradicating disease in our own body. He is the author of Disease Hacking, Acne Be Gone for Good, Simply Healthy Plant-Based Cookbook, Blood Doesn't Lie, Mastering Love, Sex, and Intimacy, How to Look Great and Feel Sexy, Grow Young and Slim. He's an American Board of Anti-Aging Health Practitioners, Team USA World Record Holder, Curl and Press, Tony Robbins Mastery University Certified NLP, a graduate of USC, Best Speaker, World Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. He's guided over 50,000 teenagers and adults to clear healthy skin, ideal weight, free of 20 degenerative diseases to look and feel great at any age. The greatest anti-aging fitness and emotional well-being coach for Tony Robbins, Mark Victor Hansen, Ray Wilson Family Fitness, and more. So please welcome to my studio, Nick Delgado. Welcome to the show, Nick.
With you, Dr. Marissa.
It's wonderful to have you here, and you have quite the library, which you have behind you. So that's kind of cool that you have written a lot of books and across a wide variety of topics. But let's start with the one that I have on the banner, which is disease hacking, which is a really interesting way to talk about disease. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, as you can appreciate, the human body is incredibly complex and certainly centered around the brain. And all of these things, we recognize now the mind-body connection. We know that those people who have a love connection to others live longer. Those people who get quality sleep absolutely live longer. We know that the people who eat whole natural foods are doing better and much less disease processes. We look at detoxification and fitness, and these things play a huge role in staying healthy in a toxic world, right? And we know that as we age, and even as a youngster, we have hormonal imbalances, which led me to write the incredible book, Acne Be Gone for Good, to help over 50,000 young teenagers and young adults with acne. And when I knew that the big lockdown occurred, I wrote the book, Blood Doesn't Lie, to help people understand the complexity of the immune system, because I am a live blood microscopist for 45 years. I look at blood smears. You can see in the corner screen a dry blood analysis, which is, full disclosure, a therapeutic review of free radical damage, which we know antioxidants play a role in reducing the toxic effects of antioxidants and disease factors. So when I'm teaching people, I'm showing them, how do we really get healthy? We use advanced therapeutics, stem cells, energy medicine. All of this brings the body to a state of wellness. It's hard to get sick when you're well. So disease hacking is really about teaching people the latest advances and going back to old school models that go back 3,000 to 4,000 years to Chinese medicine, Indian medicine, and pulling that all together to today's understanding of what does it take to be a peak performer, not just in the bedroom. Of course, John Gray endorsed my book, Mastering Love, Sex, Intimacy. It's the landmark book to really take you to the next level in your relationships, but also your career, to have energy, to perform well, and in your health. Without your health, you have none of the others. So when I'm looking at an individual, I'm not just looking at their exterior and them telling me, oh, I'm healthy, but I do take blood pressure medications. Oh, I'm healthy, but I am 40 pounds overweight. I am healthy, but, right? So what we have to do is really get it to a standard, a very high standard, hold people to that standard, and bring them to my guided mentoring program, which I do every Wednesday to guide our people onto ideal health.
Interesting. Now, did you know when you were a kid that this was what you would be doing?
Well, I was fascinated as a kid because I had a horrible digestive disorder when I was 12 years old, and my gut disorder was troubling me. The doctors prescribed me some meds, but it didn't help. And then I read in a textbook that it was a simple solution, that Latino, Asian, and Black are highly allergic to the proteins in milk, not just the lactose. And so I gave up all dairy product completely. And sure enough, all my gut problems cleared up after a year of struggling. And when I went back to trying a little sample of dairy, oh my gosh, the gut problems came back with vengeance. So from that point, when I was 21 at USC, I wanted to work in physical therapy, and I had a stroke. Being a physical therapist, I knew it was a problem. It was a TIA. I fell to the ground, lost control. And then I recovered from that after watching Nathan Pritikin hour 3 patients on 60 Minutes. That changed my life. I went to work with him at the Pritikin Longevity Center. Later, I went to work with Tony Robbins because he heard about me doing live blood microscopy, and I tested tens of thousands of people at his events and follow-up events. And so putting that all together, it's led me to be seeked out by Mark Victor Hansen, Ty Lopez, Laurel Langmeyer, the top performers in the world, including Brian Tracy recently, who seeked me out for my guidance and health. So I'm kind of the go-to doctor's doctor. I'm the coach to the coaches. People look to me because a mentor is where you want to be, and we guide them with the specific guidelines to get to that level, whereas a coach is kind of, you're accountable to the coach. So I'm not a coach, I'm a mentor.
Okay, so you don't have an MD, you have a PhD. So you're not coming from a medical doctor, a traditional standpoint, correct?
I have a team of about 5 medical doctors that work closely with me. So when a client approaches us on medications or has something that has to be adjusted during the course of them becoming medication and drug free, certainly I always work closely with our MDs. I have trained medical doctors around the world, as I'm the 4th most followed anti-aging expert in the world. So Loma University, Cal State LA, Cal State Long Beach, USC, 4-year degree from there, advanced training in all of the certifications, including where I didn't even need continuing education credits. I attended every conference possible on hormones, bioidentical, about stem cells. So I became an expert. When you write a book and you study and you live it and breathe it, and you study and review over 1,000 experts on my YouTube channel, people know that I know my stuff. More than that, I follow the practices, because here I was a victim of being overweight, fatigue, lack of energy, having had a stroke. And then my wife at the time, 29 years ago, died of hyperthyroidism related to congestive heart failure and my son's birth. So I was traumatized. And so I spent the last 29 years searching for solutions to hormonal imbalances, particularly thyroid. And then my son, 35 years ago, born with autism, a severe form. And so I champion all children and families with autism. Now 1 in 8 are stricken with this condition. So I steer them in the right direction with nutraceuticals, with proper diet, with the mind issues. All of these things have to work together.
Interesting. Now, it is Autism Awareness Month, so I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm sorry about your wife. It sounds like you definitely have had lots of experience, both with no health and driving you to try to remedy that with more health. So I've always been curious around autism and your. I think they're coming to get me. Autism's prevalence, does it have anything to do with the kinds of diets that we've had more processed food, in the decades of, let's see, I don't even know where to start, but when all that, TV dinners and microwave and instant everything, could that have contributed to the prevalence of autism?
Yes, Mr. Ryan Kaufman, in his book, Sun Rising, and the documentary, which everyone should see, they didn't get into the diet part of it. They got into the behavioral issues of how to kind of mirror and match, kind of like a Tony Robbins type NLP thing, that the brain recognizes like, and eventually these kids would come out of their nonverbal situation after 70 hours a week of intense training and guidance. But talking to Ryan Kaufman himself, who was severely autistic and inaudible as a baby at birth, he was fortunately guided by his family. Eventually he seeked out and became audible because of that training, but then he learned that gluten-free, dairy-free, plant-based whole foods was the best way to go, free of GMOs and chemicals, and free of certain injections and things, because the body is so sensitive in an autistic child. It's like the canary in the coal mine. They're the ones that's so sensitive, where most children can tolerate. But now that 1 in 8 children are faced with this traumatic condition, including Asperger's, my other son, who's now integrated into regular school, he's 13 years old. He's got all kinds of friends, but he, in the early days, was struggling with some of the conditions that we diagnosed, the doctor said he had. But we made sure that none of these things were in his system, that he was detoxified, that he was eating healthy. They were even contemplating doing a surgery on his adenoids, because he would constantly get colds and flus, and kids with autism are constantly getting sick. So what we did was we took him to that next level: drug-free, chemical-free, no aspirin, no injections, everything done properly, and now he's thriving. So you know what? It can be done, but with a lot of work.
That's wonderful. And just curious, I have a PhD, which stands for piled higher and deeper. What is yours in?
In health science, and my undergraduate work was in psychology. As I was a pre-med student, I got into physical therapy, Rancho Los Amigos, my junior year, which is a very rare thing. Out of 900 students, I was one of only 200 juniors selected. But once I had my stroke and I realized treating stroke patients with physical therapy, there was upstream a bigger problem, and that was the diet, the hormones, the stem cells. And so I started searching that, and I graduated to work with the top power of the mind people in the world, Tony Robbins, Mark Victor Hansen, and others. So because I realized that without seeking the happiness and the guidance of the subconscious mind, as Bruce Lipton often talks about, learning hypnosis, deep trance phenomena, timeline therapy, I'm a world expert, yet I bring Mary Lagon, who was Tad James' right-hand person, and he studied with Richard Bandler. So I have all of these tools to help people as a mentor, because I've reached the highest level. I'm at a level where I'm happy. I have 5 children, 3 grandchildren. I travel the world. I get to do whatever I want to do at any given moment. But the truth is, I'm seeking to help people there are not as fortunate as I was to get all of this guidance and help. So a mentor gives you the steps, the 7 pillars of health, as I explained, 7pillarscoaching.com, how to get there. And it takes sometimes weeks, sometimes months, but we can oftentimes reverse what I call disease hacking.
Mm-hmm. Great. Let's talk about aging, anti-aging. Since you're one of the experts in that area, what contributes to aging early, and what contributes to delaying the aging process? Are you saying that we all can find that Shangri-La and not age?
Well, the challenges are as follows, and here's the immediate solutions in my 26 chapters of disease hacking. And those people who apply for our coaching program get a first session free, and they will get a copy of the ebook. But I will tell you, it's 12 years in the writing. There's senescent cells. That means the cells that kind of slough off, they're laying around in your system like trash cans, and they haven't been thrown out. So we have to detoxify. We have to learn to use relaxed saunas. We have to learn how the stimulation of running or high intensity. I'm famous for a 12-minute workout that trains the entire body in 12 minutes at very high intensity, little or no rest, eccentric contractions like Dorian Yates pioneered, but even beyond that. And so what happens is the body gets adjusted to this high level performance. And so the aging process starts reversing because the body starts releasing stem cells that are dormant in the bone marrow. But as we reach, say, a child, we have billions of stem cells to heal. That's how a baby can go from 8 pounds at birth to 16 pounds, double their weight, because they're loaded. The liver has tons of stem cells. Stem cells create life and heal. So when we reach my age, which I'm 67 years young, I've had 12 stem cell infusions of cord blood stem cells, Wharton's jelly, and these mixes that youthify my body completely, rejuvenating my organs, my tissues. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say that altitude conditioning, and of course my plant-based, oil-free, sugar-free diet that I've adhered to for 45 years. So I've broken 2 world strength endurance records against the world's strongest men, lifting dumbbells overhead, and the curl record, the Guinness curl record. But I'm not going to break the next record. I was contemplating the pull-up record. I was up to over 1,000 pull-ups. David Goggins, I was going to knock on his door, but I decided I'm going to break the world record in 50 years for healthy aging. I will make love on my 117th birthday to prove that I am the healthiest individual who ever existed on the planet.
All right. So I don't know if I'll be alive to watch you do that, but that is certainly a goal that I've never heard anybody. I don't know if Guinness has a category for making love at the oldest age. Do they?
I'm going to create that category because I submitted the record that I did for curl and press, but because there wasn't a category, they have to create it. And I'm told by my mentor, Bob Goldman, who's the CEO of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, who's broken several Guinness World Records, that even though they didn't accept my record, he said, be persistent, resubmit it. And even though I'm in my late 60s, I'm breaking records of guys 20 and 30 years old on steroids. This is insane. No one has ever done this. So I'm already on track back at a peak level, an energy level, a mental cognition level. My mom is 87. She follows the 7 pillars of health. The toughest thing for her is to get her to exercise. So I hook her up with energy electrodes called a Tesla Max to sit her passively while she's doing her bookkeeping 40 hours a week. She still works. She has no medications, her hands, no arthritis, no heart disease. She's fabulous. And that's my mother, 87 years young. But I'm telling you this now because most of the people watching this are going to say, well, he's genetically gifted. No, I'm not. I was obese. I weighed over 220 pounds. I was 25% body fat, 50 pounds overweight. I've reduced that weight, kept it off for 45 years because I teach you a system that every single person in 6 weeks can learn to follow. I have people and students like Phyllis Ginsburg who said Sick and Tired No More. She wrote a book and she's been following my program for 50 years. I have people in the programs that literally attribute our game-changing life weekly classes, which we used to do in person, now we do virtual, to transforming their life. So I'm here to save the world.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break and then come back and talk some more about anti-aging and maybe some acne and sleep habits with Dr. Nick Delgado here on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome to Balanced Tai Chi Go. My name is Dr. Marissa Pei. We will be slow dancing with the universe in a moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. As a corporate psychologist, I created this practice in response to my life and those of my clients. We were professional, high-achievement-oriented, multitasking control freaks and exhausted. No matter how many successes, it was never enough. That, coupled with a painful life experience, led me on a quest to find another way to live and back to my Chinese roots. If you practice regularly, you will be in a place of balance and inner peace, the way we were created. 谢谢.
And today's show is sponsored by my friend Joe at Collision Repair Consultants. Take a listen. So what do you do when you have an accident that makes a mess of your car? My go-to shop is Collision Repair Consultants. And they are actually on the preferred list of my insurance company, which makes it even better. Joe, Alex, Michelle, and all the guys will do their best to make the accident as hassle-free and pain-free as possible, with a warranty and guarantee for their work for life. If you are looking for a great body shop, go to Collision Repair Consultants and tell them that Dr. Marissa sent you. Give them a call at 562-218-8900. That's 562-218-8900. Tell them Dr. Marissa sent you.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome back. You are tuned in to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, TuneIn, Tiki Live, Rumble, and more. Why? Because I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. So as big of a splatter zone area as possible is a good thing. Thank you so much for continuing to support and to listen in so you can start your day in the most positive way with Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated host and producer. And today we have a special guest, Nick Delgado, who is telling us about disease hacking and how we can control the future of our own aging process with what we eat And he's here again to help us with some more information. Welcome back, Nick.
Hi there.
Hi. Now, tell me about acne. I think that's one of the things, if you have kids with acne, what can be done to help with that?
Yeah, I wrote a definitive book called Acne Be Gone for Good because I discovered a solution to acne that's hormonal related. And Dr. Sonia Badarisi-Banisel, who's a board certified dermatologist, arguably one of the best in the world because she treats people of color and knows how to use lasers and various therapies and ways to clear up the acne scars. But when she delved into my book, she said, I'll love to be a co-author with you. And we went line by line, journal by journal, and reference by reference. And we agreed and published and put it up on Amazon and our website, nickdelgado.com, because we really discovered a 30-second solution. Are you ready for the 30-second solution?
I'm ready.
Okay, it's not necessarily an application on the face that everyone's focused on. Skin is an organ, but it's an excretion organ. So things come through the skin, the pores, right? And these are usually stimulated by abnormal hormonal balances. Of all things, it relates to what's called estrogen dominance. So when the body develops estrogen dominance with women, particularly with their menstrual cycles, and young men as well, because they're exposed to a lot of estrogen, what's called mimics in pesticides, chemicals, plastics, and even surprisingly, chicken, fish, turkey, eggs, and meat are loaded with estrogen, not just hormonally induced, but because they have estrous cycles. So we eat these animals, we get their estrogen in our body. Harvard published a study that milk has 33 times more estrogen sulfate, which is the most toxic form of estrogen. And when we consume these dairy and things, the skin breaks out. So I could tell kids to clear up their diet, but guess what? There's only 3% of people who will make changes in their diet unless they get into our hypnosis weekly classes where they transform their taste buds and their mind and body spirit. But the truth is they take a capsule that I discovered that's filled with what's called broccoli sprouts, DIM, diethylmethane, indole 3-carbinol. These are derivatives of natural cruciferous vegetables. The problem is you could do it naturally. You'd have to eat 2 pounds of raw cruciferous vegetables a day. So I created a product called Clear Skin Advance, and you take it and in 30 seconds, it starts working at the underlying level to convert what's called the bad to the good estrogens. And then there's a phase 2 and phase 3 with DNA Protect and Live Detox. So it helps to usher these estrogens in the right balance. Guess what? Then the DHT, which normally gets pushed into the skin, is relieved and metabolized. So I've discovered all the mechanisms, and I even went to the dermatology conferences with Dr. Sonia and got up on the grand rounds and asked the questions to the doctors, and they were baffled, and they agreed, yeah, diet plays a role, and, maybe supplements will work, but they were so focused on the drug solution, the off-label Proactive, the use of birth control pills and things, and I'm saying, well, why would you put people through all those risk of side effects when we can do a more natural approach? The answer, obviously, the natural approach doesn't cost anything except for a little supplement they take versus all these harsh treatments. So I'm really a champion of the people for the kids, and the kids buy it on Amazon. It's unbelievable, the reviews, and then they go to our website, esterblock.com or nickdelgado.com, and they learn all about it, and it works.
So, have you done journal or empirical studies on this to look at the impact of what you have in there?
Well, the good news is I'm published in Antiaging Medical Therapeutics, which you can pick up in Harvard, Yale Library, and so forth. And the doctors know about my work, and I've written 6 papers. Actually, they accepted 8 papers. I'm the 3rd most published in all the anti-aging medical community. So I published my results, including in year 2003, Anti-Aging Medical Therapeutics, and it was titled in the winter of 2003, that is, estrogen, the male toxin. At first, I identified it as a male toxin, but obviously in toxic levels, women can tolerate more estrogen because their body's designed to accept estrogen. But there's 40 different estrogens that people aren't aware of. Usually the doctors only talk of 3, E1, E2, E3, estradiol, estriol, and estrione. So I've educated that if you check a 24 urine, you find where all these harmful metabolites are, and then by utilizing the supplement regime, we get this conversion. The biggest study I published, Dr. Marissa, was actually for my PhD thesis, and I had the opportunity to work with none other than Tony Robbins, and his new book came out in February, Life Force. And he let me do live blood microscopy on 1,000 people that came to his events. We actually were able to get follow-up results on 693. So the published result was on 693 people in 9 days, dramatically transforming their health and life, which is basically because, we get into the values and the mindset to get them staying on a diet and exercise and whole food program. And we followed them up for 10, 20 years, some 40 years later, and they're still adhering, and their weight loss is successful. Their skin is radiant and their health is great. So I did the original papers. And of course, who expects a study to have 25 participants? That's a good study. I had 693 before, after in 9 days, and many of them followed up for years and years.
Great. Now, what about sleep? Sleep is something that it seems to elude, and it's getting worse. And I'm sure during the pandemic, it got worse. The statistics of people who have problems sleeping. What would you prescribe or suggest people do who have problems sleeping?
Well, you would probably imagine that I would say melatonin or some kind of a supplement or intervention. And although those things can work, the truth is what I discovered was hypnotic music at a certain frequency. And if you keep in mind when you take a look at this type of program, and I send it through to our clients in an email, and it's a hypnosis tape that calms the mind to let go of those negative thoughts and limiting beliefs, and calms the mind down. So the music plays at a certain frequency that transitions from theta to delta. Delta is that non-REM and REM sleep phases. And so we have about 4 sleep cycles that range from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. And then if sometimes you wake up, you use the restroom or whatever, you just play this music all night to a black screen, because you don't want any light in the room, because even a night light will cut your melatonin production by 50%. So if you play the tape all night, I guarantee you'll get about another extra hour or 2 hours of quality sleep that otherwise you probably are struggling to get through the day without that sufficient sleep.
And that's at your website as well?
Yes, if they simply go to nickdelgado.com and apply for coaching and mention your show, we'll send you the link to the sleep program. We'll send them the link to disease hacking, and they can even participate in one of our Wednesday sessions that starts at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific. Of course, that's East Coast is 8 p.m. And so we're broadcasting every week to mentor and guide people. It's just so exciting to see so many people using the sleep program, Marissa, and then getting back to me and saying, oh my gosh, I didn't think it would work. And I was listening to it for a little while, and then the music soothed my mind, and the words that you were saying in a hypnotic, soothing state. People don't understand hypnosis. Hypnosis is something we all go through. It's kind of a trance state. When we're watching a movie that we love, or watching your show, Marissa, people are focused and they're highly entranced. And that focus is a theta state. That's a learning state. And it's a great state to be in hypnosis to learn. And then when you transition to delta, that's when you're in a dream state. And so all these areas must be covered for the human to be mentally, emotionally well balanced.
Right. Let's go a little sidetrack here into the realm of sex and romance and all of that you wrote about. But we'll start with some technical stuff around erectile dysfunction. You have here on one of your points that it's a warning sign of heart disease. So I know I'm guessing that the 40% of my audience that are men, that some of them might be interested in knowing your take on ED, erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, in my book, Mastering Love, Sex, Intimacy, I explain in great detail the origin and the solution to ED. Surprisingly, the country in the world that has the highest incidence of ED is not a country you'd expect. It's actually China. China has wealthy areas, not the rural areas where they're eating plant-based foods, but they eat so much, animal imported products, fish and meat and so forth. And they have the highest incidence of erectile dysfunction because of clogged arteries. They have a very high cholesterol levels. So it's a warning sign that if you have ED, it's a heart attack or a stroke waiting to happen, the number one killer, of course. So we use a product called Lipoburn and Cardioglucose, which has berberine and bergamonte. And these two ingredients and these two products help to modulate and reduce this bad LDL cholesterol that clogs the arteries. Also, we do a product that is rich in nitric oxide. It's called Grow Muscle Burn Fat. And you pour that into your smoothie each morning, hopefully a cold press smoothie with beets and things. And that releases the nitric oxide and vasodilates the blood vessels. But that's not enough. As you get older, there's an enzyme that competes and gobbles up all the nitric oxide. And that's why Viagra and Cialis work, but we developed a supplement called Amore, and you take that supplement, and it can only be obtained through a link with our classes and programs, but you take that, and it clears that enzyme. And when it clears that enzyme, the nitric oxide retains the blood in gorges, not in just male penile, but in female clitoral erection. So women have more pleasurable orgasms. It's much more satisfying. Men can sustain their erection longer. And also, you have to know that the other part of ED is estrogen. Men have so much estrogen, and a study was done where they smeared estrogen cream on men's 20-year-old male organ, and every one of them developed ED for 48 hours. So estrogen competes with the testosterone receptor site. So we use this product, Ester Block and Clear Skin Advance, and these products have that cruciferous vegetable, that broccoli extract derivatives, and it just clears it out. So the men, once they get their erection, it lasts longer. And the last thing is growth hormone. Men have a decline in growth hormone as they age. So we need peptides. My favorite peptide is called PT141 that I wrote about in the book. The side effect is it gives you a nice suntan, which is protective from melanoma cancer, but also it really does hit the fantasy area of the brain. In 4 hours, men get an astonishing erection that feels so good, they just don't want to stop. Their ladies are happy, they're happy, everyone's happy. And you know, your show's about being happy and living longer. Those people who have an early interest in sex and maintain sexual function, there's so many sexless marriages out there. I've saved so many marriages. Greg told me recently at a mastermind in San Diego, and he said, you know what, Nick, you saved my marriage with learning the steps that you teach with the Amore, with the products that clear estrogen, the products that restore growth hormone, which is Grow Muscle Burn Fat. So I have this whole list of products and videos that explain it all. And there's even a course on lovemaking and how to bring you to the next level. And of course, the missing link, Dr. Marissa, is men have not ever been trained how to make love to a woman. And that came out in a book besides mine, Ian Kerr's She Comes First, which I love the book, but mine went into it in great detail as well.
Title. That is a great title. I'm going to have to go look that book up. So, all right. So there's some titillating information for you, pun intended. And now we're going to move to things that a lot of people are suffering from. And you have some information on how you can prevent cancer, how you can help cure yourself from, let's see, reverse diabetes and kidney disease. Let's go to that.
Yeah, I'll start with cancer and then jump to diabetes. The truth is that we are, as I mentioned earlier, an estrogen dominant society. And Dr. Mark Rosenthal from the East Coast is one of the lead trainers when his mother died of breast cancer. And it was tragic for him, you know, to have to reveal the diagnosis and not know what to do for her. He came on my show and we interviewed him, and he agreed that estrogen dominance is the principal problem in most sex hormone related cancers, particularly breast or prostate or ovarian cancer. And so this cruciferous vegetable extract that I mentioned, that the same thing that actually clears up acne in my book, Acne Be Gone for Good, I wrote about in my book, Blood Doesn't Lie, and the solution, the 35 steps that are summarized into 7 pillars of health to help to combat cancer. Let's be clear. Cancer is not something you just go in and you cure. The body develops cancer several times during your life. And as you age, according to Dr. Dipmai Maharaj from Florida, the immune system declines by, listen to this, 6,000% by the age of 60. So we're up against a losing battle unless we learn what I teach in my book, how to build up the immune system. And believe it or not, outdoor daylight, which I make it a ritual every morning at sunrise, I go outdoors, shave, read my book, exercise a little bit. And then at sundown, I do it again to keep my circadian rhythms. That's another tip to helping better quality sleep, because circadian rhythms dictate how light you're up during the day and how long you're asleep at night. And sleep is critical. And those who sleep better have a lower incidence of cancer. Those who make love and can have sex and intimacy have a longer life and less cancer. Those who can exercise at high intensity, those people who get their heart rate up, they have the lowest incidence of cancer. So I'm looking at those people who have defeated cancer, or more importantly, prevented it. But if they do develop it, the chemo, the radiation only shrink the tumor. If you talk to any oncologist behind closed doors, he'll admit that shrinking the tumor doesn't solve the problem, because internally there's what's called cancer stem cells, and they're immortal. They grow back with a vengeance when you attack them with chemo and radiation. And the only thing we've done in society is we have earlier detection methods. We find the cancer, which has been in your body 20 years, when it's the size of a pea. It's already been there 20 years. Mm-hmm. So we have blood diagnostics for cancer markers. We do thermography. We do all these non-invasive, because you don't want to radiate the breast with mammograms and things, because there's a 15% higher rate of breast cancer with those tests. You've got to know what to do, how to navigate. And I've been studying cancer my whole life. When you ask me as a young man, what was I dreaming to be? I dreamed I'd be the person who solved the problem of cancer. And so I've worked with some of the top cancer experts, Dr. Tony Jimenez. He wrote a book, Hope for Cancer. He outlines the similar steps that I teach in combating cancer. In fact, he refers me many of his cancer patients, because he says, look, they have an estrogen dominance problem. They need to be on your supplements and your protocol and your diet to clear up these harmful estrogens. The problem is people don't adhere to diets because they need the power of the mind training. They need hypnosis and guidance, and then they adhere, because an old saying at USC, Dr. Fraser told me, he said, you can tell a person what they need to do to tell them to change their behavior, but they haven't changed. When you change their behavior, their mind follows and is convinced that they're doing the right thing. So in other words, Dr. Marissa, we have to go in there and literally get the people to change their diet through weekly classes and assignments and potlucks. We got to get them exercising every day. Hey, are you with a coach who's accountable to you? Are you eating the foods? And we have them take pictures of their foods. We have them take pictures of them exercising every day. We get on track, because these people, when they adhere to it, their chance of building the immune system and then using peptides. Oh my gosh, beta, thymus, and alpha is one of the great ways to build up the immune system. The thymus gland shrinks down. It's the core to the immune system. So we use these peptides to restore the immune system. All in my new book, Disease Hacking, and that's what you do to beat cancer.
Mm-hmm. Great. Now, what heart rate should you be at? You say high intensity in order to be healthy. What were you saying? What's the heart rate?
Well, they claim as you age that you can't get your heart rate up as high as you could when you were in your 20s or 30s. But when I broke the world record for curl and press, and you watch the video of me lifting nonstop weights for 1 hour, and I lifted 50,500 pounds overhead in 1 hour, my heart rate was recorded with a doctor monitoring my heart rate with a remote control. And she had me at nearly 200 beats per minute during the entire hour. When I train, my heart rate is usually during the 12-minute workout, starting out at about 150 and upwards to about 180. So I'm much above these HIIT training people that do an intense exercise for a few minutes and then they rest, a few minutes and they rest. I don't rest. It's a 12-minute nonstop, rep after rep. And your partner, if you work out with a partner, it's even better, because if you don't have one, you drop set or increase set based on what's called pyramiding, pre-exhaust, and compound movements. But I show you with videos exactly how your partner is putting weight on the first rep on the eccentric contraction, anything moving away from the body. The lengthening of the muscles is where you're 40% stronger. So your partner's got to pull 40% harder and then help you up a little bit on the way up, pull you again on the way down, and that will bring your muscles to complete muscular failure, every exercise designed to get maximum 100% of the muscle fibers firing. Otherwise, your muscles cruise at about 30% muscle firing. So when your muscles are all firing, your heart rate's up, your body's up, your max VO2's up, you're breathing through your nose, and you're getting nitric oxide. And it's incredible. It's like a lifter's high. You know, if you heard of a runner's high, every time my student experiences a runner's high, it's like an orgasm. It's incredible.
So when I'm on the bike, I can have an orgasm at what heart rate?
Somewhere above 180, but you might need to add a toy to that because exercise bike won't get you there.
Okay. All right. And with that, we should definitely end. We are at the end of the
blush
show.
on you, Dr. Marissa. That's cute.
Coming and no
coming. Thank you for coming. Yes.
Or pun intended. People can find you at www.nickdelgado.com. You obviously have heard he has plenty of things and courses and product to help you. So if you're interested, go take a look at Nick Delgado's virtual home. Thanks again for coming on and enlightening us with the problems that we have and the solutions that you offer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marissa.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And let's see. We don't have time, but you know my thing. I don't know if I've taught you this yet. At the end of every show, I say peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Ready?
Okay.
So it's all about balance. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from her loving room, reminding you that it's all about peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Now go forth and have the most healthy day ever. This is Dr. Marissa. We'll see you again. And remember that you can have the best day ever. See you tomorrow.